The Nova Corps has played a huge role in the MCU's Guardians of the Galaxy, so let's find out who they are. What's up, my comic comrades? The Nova Corps made their MCU debut in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, and with Adam Warlock making his MCU debut in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's safe to assume that the Nova Corps will play a role in the Guardians 3 film as well. But what are their comic book origins? The Nova Corps first appeared in Fantastic Four issue 205 in January of 1979. People are most familiar with the Nova Corps because of the character Nova, aka Richard Rider, as well as the more modern interpretation, Sam Alexander Nova. The simplest way to describe the Nova Corps is to look at them as Marvel's answer to DC's Green Lantern Corps. Just like the Green Lanterns, they're intergalactic space cops. Green Lanterns are powered by Will from the Green Lantern Central Power Battery on Oa, and all of the Nova Corps are powered by the Nova Force. See the similarities? The Nova Corps started out as the planet Xandar's space militia. In the beginning, there was only around 500 members. However, the Nova Corps soon evolved, becoming a peacekeeping law enforcement that protected the entire universe for decades. And just like any police force or military, there are several rankings within. You have your standard corpsman, who is basically like your deputy or foot soldier having just graduated from Space Academy. Then you have Millennians. They possess half the power of a Centurion and can't fly on their own yet. After this, we have the Denarians, a third level rank. At this point, they possess 75% of the Nova Force and have the possibility to fly. And then you have a Centurion, which would be like the Lieutenant or Lieutenant General. The Nova Primes are chosen from the Centurions, and a Centurion can lift 230 tons. From here, we have the Siphon Warriors. They are kind of like the Special Forces for the Nova Corps or an offshoot. They have the ability to suck energy from other beings and then use it for themselves. But even though their rank is pretty high, they don't have as much access to the Nova Force as ranks below them. And the top dog is the Centurion Nova Prime. Obviously, most notably, Richard Rider would become Centurion Nova Prime or just Nova Prime. He took this role after he saved the world and universe countless times and became a member of the Avengers. He would eventually be promoted to Nova Prime, leader of the Nova Corps, being one of the most powerful cosmic heroes Marvel has to offer. Speaking of powers, let's talk about what powers the Nova Corps, and that would be the Nova Force, which is a cosmic energy that's distributed by the Xandarian World Mind. The World Mind is a spiritual political leader of the Xandarians. Think of it as like their gods, so to speak. Basically, Xandarians preserve the minds of their deceased and blend them all together in the World Mind, which creates a governing system that is truly unique in the universe. And because it has all the minds of their fallen brothers and sisters, it was used as a democracy, using the knowledge of these dead Xandarian citizens to often make decisions for Xandar and the Nova Corps. In any case, as for the Nova Force itself, which again comes from the World Mind, it is a limitless energy source, much like the power Cosmic. It can do many things, but its primary function is to manipulate gravity fields. The Nova Force is different than the Green Lantern's ability to harness the green light of will, in the sense that a Green Lantern's ability is only really limited by each individual member's capability of mastering their own willpower. So the greater their will, the stronger they are. However, the amount of Nova Force granted to each member of the Nova Corps is based on rank. So the higher your rank, the more Nova Force they will allow you to use. You may be asking, what powers does the Nova Force give to its users? Well, incredible super strength, speed, durability, enhanced reflexes, and stamina. But it doesn't end there. Said force also grants gravimetric pulses and blasts, a healing factor, electromagnetic fields, and the ability to create damn wormholes. The entirety of the Nova Force was actually once transferred into Richard Rider, making him Nova Prime, and insanely powerful, as seen in the Annihilation story where Nova killed Annihilus. You see, in Annihilation, the Nova Corps was almost destroyed in its entirety by the Annihilation Wave. The Annihilation Wave is Annihilus's army from the Negative Zone. Said army was so powerful, it destroyed several galaxies, countless worlds, and even was able to kill cosmic beings. The Annihilation Wave was even able to destroy every Nova member minus Richard Rider. At this point, the World Mind gave Rider all of the Nova Force. Rider would then become Nova Prime and lead the United Front against the Annihilation Wave. United Front consisted of the Kree Empire, Space Knights, Heralds of Galactus, and more. Ultimately, that didn't even work, but in the end, Richard Rider pulled out a win, killing Annihilus and his army. After this, during the Secret Invasion event, the Nova Corps would reform on Earth because of the Skrull invasion. And while we're talking about Richard Rider, he's the OG Nova. Rider was just your average teen. He wasn't the cool kid nor the geek, just kind of somewhere in the middle. Eventually, he would cross paths with the Nova Corps. You see, what happened was, in Nova Issue 1, we learned that the home world of the Nova Corps was destroyed by Zor, who was a space pirate. It's at this point a dying Nova Prime, Roman Day, who, by the way, is the character John C. Reilly played in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, fled his planet, making his way to Earth. Once near Earth, he scans the planet for a worthy successor of Nova Prime, saying, "I am dying." In moments moments, I will be gone. Thus my thoughts must travel swiftly. You have become my champion, Earthling. You have inherited the powers of Centurion. The high rank of Nova Prime is yours. As he transfers his power to Ryder via his ship from space. Now this was a massive responsibility for anyone, let alone a teenager, but Ryder caught on pretty quickly and became Nova the human rocket, defending Earth and the rest of the universe. The other notable Nova is Sam Alexander. He's a 15-year-old boy from Arizona. We find out in issues 1 and 2 of the 2013 Nova series that he lives in Arizona and has a father who works as a janitor, who always tells him stories of his time in the Nova Corps. But Sam never believes him, just thinking his dad's a drunk. Eventually he goes to look for his dad, but can't find him. So Sam does what any 15-year-old boy would do, and that is get on a skateboard and go look for his dad. The problem is the skateboard hits a rock, causing him to fly off and hit his head. He then later wakes up in a hospital greeted by his little sister and mom, where he asks, "Has dad come home?" She says, "Not yet, sweetheart. Get some rest." After his mom and sister leave, he is then greeted by Gamora and Rocket Raccoon, who say, "Wake up, kid. We gotta talk about your dad." Rocket then shows Sam his dad's helmet, with Sam saying, "That's my dad's helmet." But Sam, understandably, freaks out and gets out of his bed and runs away as he was greeted by a talking raccoon and a green woman. Throughout the issue, Sam realizes his dad wasn't lying and he was indeed a member of the Nova Corps. Sam eventually puts on his dad's helmet and is imbued with the powers of the Nova Force. As we roll into issue 3 of the series, Gamora and Rocket tell Sam that his father told them to give Sam his helmet and only Sam, at which point they start training him to stop an approaching Chitauri armada. But I'll stop there, as we just want to throw in a brief overview of both Nova's Richard Rider and Sam Alexander with the general origin of the Nova Corps. We will be giving both versions of Nova their own dedicated episodes at some point, so look out for that. In the meantime, what do you guys think of the Nova Corps? Are you excited to see them return in Guardians 3 as well as Nova make his MCU debut? Let us know down in the comments.